the topic which I have chosen to discuss today is what does mean academic theft in research projects and types. Basically, so the academic theft basically means when you copy something without informing someone or without taking permission. In other words, when we use to copy an advertisement or generally a song, we call it the copyright reasons. Like we used to reserve some rights that if someone would copy my material, even a single word of mine, I shall sue them or I shall charge them money because they are using my creativity, my original thing without asking my permission. So this we generally called copyright. So academic theft basically revolves around stealing some other person's work without informing, prior noticing, or asking them the permission that can I use your material in my book, in my chapter, in my lecture, or in my assignment. Around the globe the people has become habitual. Like in my university, the students usually copy the assignment. They make their assignment on the basis of content or the articles which already been published in Google Scholars or some other resources or the search engines. Why do academic theft is important? So the today's session will be, this session will consist on that we shall discuss about what is plagiarism, why is plagiarism a bad thing, what happens to plagiarists, so how can you spot a plagiarism in an assignment, and how can plagiarism be avoided. So our whole lecture shall revolve around these topics. Now, the important question is, what is plagiarism? Plagiarism is copying some other person's material without taking the consent, or maybe if you are writing something unintentionally knowing that some person has already written something on this idea is called plagiarism. So what is on slide, that plagiarism is a very serious offense. So beta, it means that it is not something very comic. It is a serious offense under the university's regulation on cheating and will be penalized. Students' attention is drawn to this regulation 11 in the university calendar, a copy of which is available. It means that every university has used to make a kind of a rule that if their research work or published work will be copied by any research scholar in any country, and if they found guilty, they will be charged with a kind of money and with punishment, or they can be put behind the bars. In Pakistan, the regulations like Pakistan or India, that you have to pay the 50,000 rupees along with 6 months to 3 years punishment, like the scholar will be put behind the bars. But it is not normally being practiced. Generally, the people used to copy the assignments. We don't have any strict rules and regulations, but as I have seen on the HEC website that they are now making some strict rules regarding that. Plagiarism is a form of misconduct and is defined as taking and using another person's thought and presenting them as if they were their own. Now, beta, now it is been very clear to you that plagiarism is not only taking out the person's written material, like if you are copying some person's idea, that is also called plagiarism. Plagiarism is very much common in movies, in dramas, in copying the other person's dress, in copying the other person's design. Like we used to copy the other person's songs. Even the actresses used to copy the other movies dialogues in their movies. So that comes under the copyright. But when we academically use this, it is come under the definition of plagiarism. Plagiarism is constructed by the Department of Politics and International Studies as one of the following. So who designed the plagiarism policies? Like in the university, there is a QEC department, quality enhancement. They used to design a kind of a policy, and their policy will be on these grounds. The inclusion on your essays of passages, sentences, or even phrases quoted directly from other authors without acknowledgement by quotation marks and appropriate references. So, beta, one thing which cannot come under plagiarism is Hadith Mubarakah and the verse is from Holy Quran. They cannot come in the plagiarism. You can quote these verses and hadith directly from anywhere. But if you are gonna quote any word, like when we say that our kite says work, work, and work, so we used to include these words in inverted commas. So if you are taking something in the inverted commas and you are giving an acknowledgement that these words were said by our Qaid, it means that you are just giving the references, you are not copying their words. But if Abira says that, ma'am, work, work, and work, so this is my idea and this is my thought, so it means that you are copying the other person's words. So these are not your original. But if you given a reference, it becomes other person's acknowledgement and they will oblige it. Number two, the unacknowledged praising of the work of other authors. For example, the representation even in your words or the work of other authors without a proper reference to the original source. Okay, but inshallah, in my lecture, I shall tell you that how can you remove the plagiarism. Secondly, how you used to give the citation. In this lecture, if I get the time, or maybe in the other lecture, next lecture, I shall tell you that how can you add the references while quoting some text from the other sources. The use of arguments derived from the other author and the presentation of evidences taken from other authors without proper references. But suppose you are taking a reference from a book, the book page number 33, and you find that these lines are very much in reference to the work which I am doing right now. So you quote these lines in your book without giving the reference that this book was written by the Toni Morrison on the page number 13 and Paradise. I am taking this reference. So it means that you are stealing some other person's work and you are publicizing that line with your own name that I am the creator and I am the author. So this is we call plagiarism. So here we go with the types of plagiarism. Full plagiarism, unintentional plagiarism, partial plagiarism, minimalistic plagiarism, and self-plagiarism. Now discuss the types of plagiarism, that what are the different types of plagiarism. Number one is the copy machine, when the source is not added. The copy machine means that the author submit an assignment, copied work for word from a source different from his or her own. Now, bete, I would like to paraphrase it for you. Copy machine means that you are copy pasting the other person's work same as it is written in book or in an assignment or on some source engine directly as your own without giving a proper acknowledgement. So this is called copy machine. The phantom writer. Phantom writer means that the author uses some of his or her own words in his or her submission. The substantial parts are taken without modification from a single source. Now, better suppose if you are taking some notes or table, charts, graphs, some data or quotations from any of the website, and you are directly quoting those charts or the tables in your assignment. You are changing the headings, but the main part, like the content, will be same as written in the website. So it is called phantom writer. The Frankenstein paper. The author tries to pass off a work as his or her own that has been stitched together from the various sources, like it is a common practice. If I assign an assignment to my students and ask them to prepare an assignment, so what they do, they used to stitch the different content from the different sources. They do not add a kind of reference, and without bringing a single change in it, they just present me a paper, ma'am, I have done my work. So what kind of a work you are doing? So you just wasted your effort and all your energy in just copying the text. So there is nothing new from your side. Where is your creativity? When you put all your energy while copying the text from a source, from a book or from a other person's work, this is called Frankenstein paper. Wolf in sheep's clothing. The author tries to cover his or her lifting of the essential content by minimally altering keywords and phrases. But what is general practice nowadays? Like if I give that you have to write an assignment that the role of hero in the novel Oedipus Rex. Suppose I have given an assignment to a student that the role of protagonist in the novel in the drama Oedipus Rex. So what people will do, they will change the heading. The Oedipus as a hero in the drama Oedipus Rex and the character of hero. So they will just switch and swap the characters, the word, and then present me the assignment and find that, ma'am, we have done a good work. These kinds of the minimalistic changes comes under the wolf in sheep clothing. The lazy man prerogative. The author meticulously changes all phrases. The author intentionally changes all the phrases and words from one source into his or her own, but neglect to cite the source. But it is also a very common practice. There are now several softwares available in which you put the data, you just click, and in a single click, with a wink of eye, 3,000 words usually being rephrased, and it comes up with your own creativity. So thanks to the technology, these softwares have now made a person a lazy man. That is why it is called lazy man prerogative. That you intentionally take my notes, changes the words, replace them with the different synonyms, but never acknowledging my creativity and presenting my work as your own work. So this is called lazy man prerogative. The double diaper. The author reused large amount of work previously drafted by him or herself. This violates originality expectation inherent to most academic institutions. But with very sorry and very, very sad heart, it is generally being practiced in the very renowned universities. What most of the supervisors and the teachers do, that they use to take the assignment, rephrase the whole assignment, and present it to the student that it is newly drafted. Sometimes what they do, suppose I have done a research work. What I would do in future, God forbids, that I will give it to you, Abira, and says, bete, this is the new assignment, I have done it for you. But it was already been published in some of the journals. I will just change the title, abstract, and few keywords, and then a new assignment is ready for Abira. This kind of action, which violates the originality, is called the double diaper. Missing links. With this example of plagiarism, the author note a source but does not include a specific in-text citation. Better, there are two kinds of citation. Number one, when you give a in-text citation. Number two, when you give a references. Nowadays, there are two kinds of references are very much popular. Number one is MLA and number two is APA 6th edition. What we're supposed to do in APA 6th edition is that we used to cite our references. Now, very soon I shall share you my research paper and will tell you that how you can give a citation. That leads to the reference citation that denote the exact bibliography information from the text. Therefore, the link between the in-text citation reference and reference page number is broken. What we're supposed to do, that we just give a reference in the paragraph, but at the end, our reference is broken, which never correlate. It means that we are copying, pasting, and we are not adding something new in it. The scramble, as you know, like the scrambled eggs, mixing up everything. The author scrambles information so that inaccurate information regarding the source is noted. As I am supervising 8 students of MPhil and they are doing their research work, what I have observed that some of my students usually come, what they do, that they do come with the assignments already being published and available on Google Scholar. They just download those assignments, rewrite those assignments, come to me. When I check their plagiarism from the Turnitin software, the plagiarism percentage usually come 50%. It means that they have copied the 15% text from the original work. So scrambling is very easy, but you can easily find out the person or the culprit who used to copy the other person's work. Miscurd. With this example of plagiarism, the writer inserts a direct quote but tries to pass it off as a paraphrase. Now, there are two kinds of way by which you can remove plagiarism out of your text. Number one is that you paraphrase. If there is something different and difficult written in the research paper, what you're supposed to do is to rewrite the whole assignment in your own words, in your own ideology. Number two, change the grammar. If something is written in is, you can in the present tense, you can write it in the past tense. So that is how the idea will be same, but the content and meaning will be minute change. The pass of sources. In this situation of plagiarism, large sections of the author's works are original, but interspersed with the original are sections of uncited paraphrases. In this way, the paraphrase material is passed off as the writer's own. In this situation, the pass off large section of the author's works are original but interspread within the original. It means that when you are going to copy something, you just add the larger paragraph, but in between those larger paragraph, you will add something from in your own words and then remove the paragraphs and then add something of your own. It becomes a pass off plagiarism. Now the question arises, bete, why plagiarism is bad? I think it is very easy nowadays. I have seen so many English 1 books. Many of the books are copied. Can you imagine that many of the poetry books are copied? Even though many of the people usually deliver lectures by copying the other person's slides or the other person's work. And they make their laurels and the medals on the basis of other person's creativity. Many of the music directors are creating and producing music by copying the Pakistani music, and the Pakistanis are copying the Indian music. The Indians are copying the American music. So this is a kind of a circle which is circulating nowadays. It is not restricted to the academic theft, like in advertisement, in cooking shows, in morning shows, in clothing brands. We may see that most of clothing brands copy the other person's work. Why plagiarism is a bad? Because it infringes academic ethics and academic norms. They are against academic norms that you cannot steal anything even from the library books without informing any person. Because it is a form of academic theft and a type of fraud. Because plagiarism ultimately cheat themselves. So plagiarism means that you are cheating another person. Because plagiarists cheat their fellow students. Suppose if I am giving you the plagiarist work, I am making a chain, you will note down, you will provide these plagiarist note to your students will provide it to other student. So that is how a chain will develop. So plagiarism never stops, because plagiarism reflects incompetence. If you are an incompetent person, you cannot create your own work. You lack originality, you lack creativity. So that is how the plagiarism means incompetence, and it develops incompetency among the other person. Consequences for your overall grade. The module in question means consequences for your own degree. If the plagiarism is found, beta, it was practiced once in one of another university in my province. So what happens that at the time of their final defense, their thesis work was rejected because it was 80% plagiarized. HEC cancels the degree, and now the students is moving here and there in the search of admission. Even most of the university cancels the admission if plagiarism is found. So that is why most of the supervisors or the research scholars, PhD scholars, prefer the student to get their work done by their own instead of copying it from the other sources or the other person's work. If a writer finds that another author is copying their work, so what they're supposed to do, they have a right of appeal even at an university or the academic commission will inquire the whole matter, and if someone is found guilty, he will be have to pay the penalty. University can take the possible disciplinary action against the supervisor who used to develop a kind of plagiarism, publish a plagiarism material from their university, from their student side. So this question can be asked in your assignment, that why plagiarism is a bad thing. So you yourself will also tell me the 5 reasons that why should one avoid plagiarism. I am now showing you few extract. You have to read that extract and tell me that where is the plagiarism. Here is the content. Read it down and tell me that where is the plagiarism. So read this paragraph number 1. First of all, read this content written in black and then the content written in red and find out where is the plagiarism. First, acha, okay, see that the black was written by me and red was written by you. So you have to spot the difference, that where did you copy? Which were the words and the sentences which were copied by you?
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, in these two paragraphs, the thing was that the red text is like there are some words which are omitted from the first paragraph, like which
Okay.
is written in red, like
Okay.
black.
Okay.
For example, the first sentence in the black one, it like 3 words over there. It's like at any rate, or the
Huh.
idea of 780 was the idea that is being copied in the red one,
Exactly, it is.
but
Okay.
the few words have been omitted.
Okay.
Following in
Very
the
good.
black one and the red one, same thing is repeated. Few
Hmm.
words are being omitted and few are copied from the
Well done.
sentences.
Well done. Well done. Now look, now see this paragraph number 2. It is a good practice.
Okay.
It is a good practice. Now here is the paragraph number 2. So beta, these are two are the same, but you can spot the difference, that the uh, that the red one in the first page is entirely different from the second one. Like
Yes,
at the
ma'am.
beginning, the idea of sovereignty was the idea that there is a final and absolute political authority. Now, what is here? It in its earlier manifestation, sovereignty was thought to capture the idea that there is a ultimate locus of authority. So, what does this mean? That both the paragraph are
The
same.
second one is like, yeah, but the second one is paraphrased really well.
Well, the second one is paraphrased really well, and the use of the compound sentences, and secondly, the use of synonyms is excellent in this.
Yes.
So that is how you can remove the plagiarism out of your content.
Okay, ma'am.
So most of the students used to ask, ma'am, how can we remove the plagiarism? As I told you previously, that there are multiple uh, sources or the softwares available. You can take those softwares in a very minimum amount, and that is how you can remove the plagiarism. But let's discuss it in detail. First of all, we can remove the plagiarism simply by giving the citations, a proper citation. I will tell you that how you can give the proper citation. If poor understanding of the nature of plagiarism. Plagiarism is of two types. Number one, sometimes you confused. One of my colleagues was writing an article over the copyright. He copied the content from another person's research paper. When he used the software to remove the plagiarism, the whole content and the whole meaning of the text was entirely changed, and his research paper was rejected by the editor. The reason was that paraphrasing and the use of synonyms is sometimes not important. The most important thing is that your idea running in the line must run with a continuous flow. If at one place the idea is broken, the whole idea will be scattered. Number two is cultural factors. One must, while copying something, one must keep it in mind that whom content you are using is senior to you and are more experienced. And if you are copying the content, that is not bad. You can take the references, but it is important to give an acknowledgement to the person. While delivering the lecture, I used to borrow the content from the other person's sources, but I used to give them the citation that these slides or this thing has been taken from this source. Now, the second one is when you have to quote something directly. If you are taking some, like, bete, when I was researching on a novel Paradise written by Toni Morrison, and my topic was about the use of symbolism in the novel. Already the work had been done, but the dimension which I choose or the character which I choose were not taken by the other scholars. So it means that the dimension which I was taking was entirely new and nobody already worked on it. Toni Morrison's novel was consist of 375 pages. I used to take the dialogues and the textual references from the original book. But at the end, when I quote it in my research work, I used to add page number. On the page number 1, there the novel opens up with "They shoot the white girl first." It was very important line for the opening of my novel, opening of my research work. So what I did, I write down the same words without paraphrasing or without changing, but inverted commas added. And then add in brackets page number 1. It means that these lines are not written by myself. These are from the Toni Morrison's book Paradise, written on page number 1. Now, neither Toni Morrison nor any person around the globe can claim that Umaira Saeed copied the work, because I am giving the reference. I am acknowledging the author that, madam, I am taking something from your book. So this is the proper way of referencing. But if I write, "They shoot the white girl first, and then it was the turn of the black girl," it means that now I am plagiarizing, I am copying, I am stealing some other person's work and then publishing it with my own name. Keep the person's name near the quote in your notes and in your paper. Select those direct quotes that make the most impact in your paper. It is not necessary to add everything in your assignment. You can add the things which are most important. Mention the person name either in the beginning or in the middle or in the end. As I told you that in the APA 6th edition, the mentioning or the referencing is important by giving at the end of sentence, and in MLA, you are supposed to add the author's name and the year of publishing in the opening of sentence. Put the quotation marks around the text that you are quoting. You can add the quotation marks. Indicate added phrases by within the bracket, parenthesis, or sometimes with the ellipsis. Ellipsis means short dots. Ensure your note exact page number in the reference. Sometimes the people used to bluff the other person by adding the wrong page number. That is also the academic fooling. You cannot make the fool to others. Everything is in record. So it is important to add the exact page number. These are the rules which are very important to avoid plagiarism. The next is, bete, keep the person's name near in your text and in your paper. Rewrite the key ideas using different words and sentences structures than the original text. If you are going to write something on that original text, so you can make the different kind of sentences. As you know, there are 3 sentences: simple, complex, and compound. And while writing the research paper, complex sentences will be more acknowledged and more appreciated. Mentions the person name either at the beginning of the information, middle, or the end. Double check to make sure that your words and sentence structures are different from the original text. As I told you that if you will quote original text, that will be so ambiguous. So what you do is that you can change the words, or the idea will be same, but you can use the other words by rewriting the sentences. When paraphrasing and summarize, these are the also 2 techniques to make your work to avoid plagiarism. Number 1, action during the writing process. First of all, you paraphrase the whole content, summarize the original text, and then rely on your memory and write down your text. Now check your version with the original for content accuracy and mistakenly borrow phrases. Sometimes what we used to repeat the same phrases, but this is a one technique. Secondly, you can add another phrase instead of the phrase which was used in the original text. Appearance on the finished product. According your begin your summary with the statement giving credit to the source. Like according to Abira, according to Umera, according to Kinza. It means that you are acknowledging the some work, some person's work. Instead of saying it was said, it was published. Who published? Who said? If I write according to Abira in 2023, dash dash dash, it means that I am acknowledging the Abira's work. Put unique words or phrases. It means that you can add more or different synonyms in your work. Ensure your note exact page number in the reference. There must be original page numbers added in it. Actions during the writing process. Now you have rephrased, you have rewrite the whole content. What you're supposed to do is mark everything that is someone else's work. But sometimes we bold the italic words, or we used to add some other italic words while copying the other person's work. Indicate in your notes which ideas are taken from S and which are your own insight. Record all the relevant documentation information in your notes. So these are the few good tips which I used to give to my research scholars. Number one, avoid copying when you take notes. Write in your own ideas. When you take notes, make sure that you write down the full reference of source. I am gonna show you my synopsis and the thesis, and then you will come to know that how you can add the references. When taking notes, make sure that you write down the full reference. Keep track of your citations, full references, page number. Write first draft without notes. When in double side, take advice. Like you are, it is mandatory for you. Even you are adding a comma, you can give a reference of it. It will make your work more authentic instead of giving credit to you own that I am writing it by myself. So this was the lecture for today. But as it will be over, I shall send you and tell you that how did I write my synopsis and the thesis. So this is the introduction, bete. This is the introduction session. And look at this. This is the reference which I was telling you. Look at this. This is the reference. I quote this paragraph, the whole paragraph, from one of the research paper written. Fine. And after taking this paragraph from the research paper, I just rewrite the whole content in my own words. And later on, to make it more authentic, that this was done by me, I add this reference that this article was written by Yemisi in 2002. Understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ji. Next, I did the same practice in whole of my research paper. Look at these references. Now, the most important thing while quoting the references is to give in a chronological order. Like you can give it to 2000 in the reverse chronological order, or you can use by moving it forward. When I did the whole of my research, then at the end, this is the research conclusion, recommendations, and these are the references. So if I say that this was written by Alan, so what I say, I can come here in the reference section and check that either Alan references is placed by the author or not. It means that I took the whole of thing from the Holy Omen, and this was the author name, this was the year publishing of their novel, of their research paper, this was the title, and this was the doctoral dissertation. It means that it was I took it from the PhD thesis. The next reference was Exxon. His research paper was published in 2009, and I took the content from page number 902 to 904. Abira, the most important thing. Beta, you cannot take 10%, more than 10% from one research article. Like if you are reading a research article consists of 3000 words, then you can only borrow like maximum, if it is of 100 words, you can borrow the 30 words out of it. If it has 3000 words, so you can maximum take 100 words out of it. You cannot borrow the whole of article. You would rephrase, rewrite, and then produce it as your own. It will not come under the plagiarism or the academic theft. So if you have any question, Abira, regarding the today's lecture, so you are most welcome to ask.
No, ma'am, everything is pretty much crystal clear to me.
So in the next lecture, I will ask you some questions about the copy machine, about the intentional and unintentional plagiarism. I will share a content like a paragraph. Then you have to rewrite the whole paragraph in your own words. In the next lecture of research projects, I will show you a screen carrying a paragraph. Then you have to rewrite the whole paragraph in your own words. Clear?